Welcome to another episode of BSing Through Sports, and today it is Friday. You know what that means. We're going to be going over all the headlines, takes, opinions about what's going on with our favorite South Florida sports teams. Yes, it's just a straight South Florida sports pod, a straight South Florida sports episode. And we're going to go over the Miami Heat and their depressing four-game losing streak heading into the All-Star break, the Dolphins' new hire, the Marlins finally signed a free agent. We already talked hockey yesterday. Go check out the video about the Four Nations face-off and how much that is embarrassing the All-Star game. So we're not going to go to Panthers. We're going to talk Marlins, Heat, Dolphins. And let's start off with the Miami Heat. I didn't do a reaction video yesterday to the game, to the Mavericks' loss, because I'm just tired of the losing. Four-game losing streak heading into the All-Star break. Haven't won a game since acquiring all the assets from the Jimmy Butler trade, while the Warriors over here looking pretty nice. Going 3-0 with Jimmy Butler. No, 3-1 with Jimmy Butler because they lost the first game of a back-to-back. But the Heat, they dropped one to the Mavs last night. They dropped another one. So they lost 118-113. Tyler Hero had 40 points. He was affected, but he cannot do it all. I mean, the team is just collapsing in the fourth quarter, collapsing in the second half, and collapsing defensively one game, then offensively the next. Like, for example, this four-game losing streak, it started against the Nets. We collapsed by only scoring 9 points in the fourth quarter. Then, we go and we play the Celtics, and we start the game off hot, and then we collapse offensively in the second half. And then on Wednesday, against the Thunder, we start off great offensively, and we absolutely collapsed defensively, laying up a 24-0 run in the fourth quarter. We didn't score until 6 minutes left in the fourth. And now, we let up a 13-0 run while we were decently in control of the game, and we're playing the Mavericks, who are basically a team from the hospital, because all their players, Anthony Davis, Daniel Gafford, Klay Thompson, Kyrie, they're all out. We have a stomach bug going around, floating around, so Andrew Wiggins was out, Terry Rozier, thank God, was out, but we suck. Bam was out also this game, but he wasn't out the last. The Bam, Tyler Hero, they all played against the Thunder. And we were looking nice. We were looking pretty nice until the Thunder come marching in the fourth quarter. We're up 10 in the fourth quarter, 24 run. Because we can't get a stop. And Haywood Highsmith, for some reason, is not in the game. Why is Haywood Highsmith, one of our better defenders who can actually stand in front of someone, not in the game? It just doesn't make sense. We need him right now because we can't do anything. We can't get stopped when we can't get stopped defensively. We're letting Dante Exum drop 27 on us. Carson Edwards have points on us, and they have two-way players scoring on us. Why isn't Haywood Highsmith the only player who can stand in front of someone not in the game? Makes no sense. Makes absolutely no sense. And Tyler Hero, he has 40 points. He was struggling in the first quarter, 2 points. Then he had 17 points in the second. He had 40 points to end the game. He was offensively productive, offensively an all-star. 3 for 14 from 3, but he still was scoring. These good shooters, they shoot themselves out the slumps, and they did. 40 points. Khalil Ware, he was getting to about 17 points without ban. Kyle Anderson, 15 points, but the rest of the team didn't show up. Jovic, he's supposed to be our sixth man coming off the bench, but we didn't want to trade for KD. He had 6 points. He has been gone. Ware has been gone until this game. Tyler Hero has been gone until this game. But most importantly, this game, when we needed to win against a hurt team, no one shows up. Davion Mitchell, 5 points. He's defense on defense. That's it. He can't score. Jaime Hawkins had 6 points. This is the craziest sophomore slump I've ever seen. We thought he would be, 15 point per game average this year. No, he sucks. Alec Burks is our biggest spark off the bench. Alec Burks, man. And he's good. He could come in and hit a couple threes. That's it. Terry Rozier's out. We're playing better with him offensively, without him offensively, but we still suck. And it's a 4-game losing streak, and it's getting bad. And we can never have our team together. One game Tyler's out, the other game, you can't. This 4-game stretch, you can't even get anything out of it. Because the next game, while we had Tyler and Bam, we didn't have any pieces from Jimmy Butler trade. We still had Jimmy Butler. We didn't have any other pieces from the Jimmy Butler trade. Then against the Celtics, we didn't have Tyler Hero. And we held them to only 103 points. And then, and then what is it? Against the Thunder, I believe we had everybody. But this game, we didn't have Wiggins, we didn't have Bam. Duncan Robinson, we didn't have against the Thunder. Terry Rozier, we didn't have against the Thunder. So the team's hurt because of the stupid illness floating around from probably the Heat gal. The food was poisoned. By the Celtics, probably. But it's terrible. It's getting bad, and it's getting annoying, and we need to get hot. We're now 3 games below 500. We're sitting at 8th in the East. We had control of the 6th spot in the East until we just flunked all the way down to 8th. We're 3rd in our division now. The Hawks are ahead of us. The Tanking Goal Hawks were 9th in the East, actually, 0.5 games behind 8. And then three games behind Pistons with 6. So we went on a 3-game losing streak, lost our 6th spot. That's what happens. And here's what Spo says about the collapses going on.
And we're going to correct that. We're going to get better. We have enough experience with it now. Our guys are fully aware of it. Everybody wants to be better in these situations, when we're up. We'll take a few days off and, I'll get to work. The staff will get to work. We'll do what we need to do. I promise we're going to correct this. And
I want to believe him. I want to believe him. Coach Spo's a great coach. He has led us to success with the little he has given. I want to believe him. I want to believe he goes into the lab this All-Star break and absolutely cooks up, and he gets this team grinding, and gets this team out of this slump, and he gets this team to not sell leads in the second half. But I can't believe him because it's been a terrible coaching job by him all season. Unfortunately, it's been terrible. He hasn't really been a Coach Spo all season. And it's tough. And I want to believe he's going to get us out the slump, but we've been knowing this is an issue since the beginning of the season. Since game 1, this was an issue. A third quarter was the issue in the first game against the Orlando Magic. It's been an issue since game uno. And we still haven't corrected it. And I know we're going into a break. It's only a week break, honestly. The All-Star break ain't shit. It's only a week off. But we're going into the break, trying to correct it, and I don't believe so. It's going to give us more time to get Wiggins, Mitchell, and Anderson their spots, their roles, and all that, and give break to the other players that really need a break. And Hero needs a break, even though he's playing in the All-Star game. That makes no sense. But I don't know. I don't believe we're going to get out of this. We lost 4 in a row. We should have beat these teams. We had control over one of the best teams in the league, the Thunder. We held the Celtics to a slump shooting night and only 103 points. Nobody besides Tatum scored more than 20. Their bench only scored 5 points. Then we played the Nets, and we lost to the Nets because we only want to score 8 points in the fourth quarter. And we lose to the Magic, who are hurt, who don't have their 2 best players, their 3 best players, nor their 4 best players. They have Dante Exum. God damn it. It's terrible. It's terrible. Alright. That's it. We're done with the Miami Heat. We'll talk about the match of the break. When they come back, they play the Raptors on the 21st. I believe that's a Friday. That's a Friday. Good math right there. You know what? Let's get to the Marlins. Because while the Marlins are depressing, they show no hope every season. And after a run to the playoffs, they absolutely blow apart the team, tank, fire the GM, fire the coach, fire a coach of the year, manager of the year, and Skip Schumacher. And they don't make any free agency moves the last 2 years until, well, they got Tim Anderson. He doesn't count. He sucked. They just signed Kyle Quantrill from the Colorado Rockies. He was a starter for the Rockies last season. He was a starter for the Guardians, where he had most of his career success. And Kyle Quantrill, he is going to be a part of our pitching rotation, which is the only exciting part. I am excited about the young players. It's like the Heat. I'm excited about the young players. I want to see them play together. It's going to be fun, hopefully. If it's just going to be fun, it's going to be fast. It's going to be interesting. I'll be for it, and get more wins than we had last season. But the most exciting part about this Marlins season is the pitching. The pitching where we have Sandy Alcantara, a Cy Young winner. His last season that he played, he was pretty off and on. It wasn't crazy. He got hit off of. Then we have Yuri Perez. He didn't play last season also. But he is a young star, and he's throws gas. And he showed very great potential in the last season he played. He needed to be Tommy John surgery. So he's not going to be available to the All-Star break for some reason. He says he's 75% ready, but he's only going to be available to All-Star break. Whatever. And we have Ryan Weathers, who also didn't play some of the season last year, and he showed really good improvement when he got switched to being a starter. And we have Edward Cabrera, of course, who can walk everybody, but also have a 7-10 strikeout game. So he's an off and on pitcher. And with Mike Maxmeyer, he's good. He showed promise. He kind of fell off towards the end of the season. And then Villante Belozo, however you say his name, he was pretty decent for a stretch last season. So the pitching is pretty good. I like the pitching. I don't know about the bullpen, but the starters, I like it. It's fun. Even though I'm not excited about that, we had fired Mel Stoudemire Jr., who has been pitching magic with this team because Braxton Garrett, Luzardo, Sandy, they were all good with him. Last season maybe wasn't great, but the season before we got to the playoffs, the pitching was pretty damn good. And Yuri Perez, of course. But now we had another pitcher, veteran arm. And this is important because there's one spot in the rotation without Yuri Perez that's like question marks. We have Sandy, we have Ryan Weathers, we have now Quantrill, and now we have Max Meyer, Edward Cabrera, and then Max Meyer Beleza. So there was like a one spot open for the Marlins, and this is who they filled it in, and I'm happy. They signed someone, finally. They signed a veteran pitcher. That's nice. We got a veteran on the roster. So he's an innings logger. So he's going to be able to go out there and give us innings, so we don't have to bullpen rest, We don't have to rely on the bullpen, even though he's going to give up runs. 4.98 ERA is not really good. He led the league in walks. In the National League in walks last season, so do what you want with that. But, and him, if he's the third pitcher and Edward Cabrera is the fourth, we got to go back to that night watching Quantrill and Edward Cabrera pitch. Edward Cabrera will walk my grandmother if she was at the plate, and then he'll probably also walk my grandmother if he was at the plate. I don't watch Rockies baseball, of course, but he's leading the National League in walks. He's going to walk my grandmother at the plate. Edward Cabrera's off and on, Quantrill's off and on, but he's an innings logger. He's going to get you through the games. He's going to go deep into the sixth. He's going to be able to give that bullpen some rest. So that's important. And of course, Sandy, he's also, I don't think he's really going to go far this season, but he wants to. But he's not going to go far because they're going to have him on a leash coming off of an injury. But Marlins finally signed someone. And, the team's different. The team is interesting. Connor Norby, I'm excited about Connor Norby. De Los Santos, I heard he's pretty good. Xavier Edwards, of course. Dane Meyer. And Dane Meyer and Jesus Sanchez are two power guys, I guess, this season. It's going to be interesting. You never know what you're going to get from this young team. It's a young team. You never know what you're going to get. You can get hot one day and absolutely shitting on the next. And opening day, spring training already started. I'm not going to pay attention to spring training, to be honest. I want to hear about how the pitching is, how Sandy's looking, of course, how Ryan Weathers looking, and how the young guys are performing, and who's the stars at spring training, Griffin Conine. But also, I just want to get to the season. And opening day, Paul Skeens, Sandy Alcantara, Dan Marino throwing out the first pitch. That's a hype game. I had to be there. But it's a hype game, and, our pitching is a bright spot. New manager. So our team's young. They're all together. They're all learning together. Sandy's a vet. I won't be surprised if he gets moved by the deadline also. But I want to see him do good. While the time we have him, if we're going to trade him, I want to see him do good. I want to see him perform. I want to see him get back to Cy Young level coming off an injury. I don't think that's going to be really possible. But I feel like he'll do good. And Paul Skeens, Sandy Alcantara, great pitching matchup. Dan Marino throwing out the first pitch. They're trying to make that opening day a big event. Paul Skeens, Alcantara, they're having Flo Rida perform. Dan Marino there. They're trying to make it a big event. Also, Contra, his dad played for the Marlins. So if you want to get to the Marlins, just have your dad play for the Marlins. Conine, Ryan Weathers, Marshall, all these players have their dads play for the Marlins. The Marlins made a move. Wow. So surprising. The Marlins, they piss me off. Because after their whole playoff season, spending money in the trade deadline, getting Berger, getting Bell, they don't try to improve off the roster. They let Jorge Soler leave, which is probably the right move. But you let Jorge Soler leave, you don't make any improvements, and then you now get a new manager who's going to do the Rays approach of the Moneyball approach of not spending any money in analytics and all that. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all. But, Bruce Sherman, terrible owner. Okay. I don't talk now. It's getting me heated. You want to talk Bruce Sherman, Marlon, terrible owner. Terrible owner. He's the Marlins are a depreciating asset, honestly. They have not gone up in value since he bought the team. I think he bought the team for $1.2 billion. They're valued at $1 billion. I bet he's going to try to sell the team as soon as they get a decently above how much he bought it for. And he's trying to make money. He's trying to make it a quick get-rich scheme as the Marlins. And he doesn't want to spend money until he's able to sell the team. And I hope he's able to sell the team. I want the team to go up because I wanted to sell the team to someone. Sell it to the Saudi Arabian dudes because I don't care. Because this team has not spent money a whole life. They spent money with David Sampson was there. And we had a good roster, but we sucked. And then we sell it to Jeter. Payroll slasher. And then we sell it to Sherman, Jeter, and all that terrible squad. They payroll slash the shit out of us. And we suck. Sandy's the only bright spot. And we have a crazy similar Kim Yang as the manager. And guess what? The general manager. And guess what? We get rid of her because she's having success and because the fans now see, oh, maybe spending a little bit of money, going after some players in the trade deadline, or going after some players and acquiring new players, maybe is the way to actually find some success in this league. No, so we get rid of her. We want to go the cheap route. Try to find success the lazy, the cheap way. It worked for the Rays, and I bet it's not going to work for the Marlins. Now, I was excited coming into this video about the Marlins. Now I'm not. Because every time I talk Marlins, I get mad at Bruce Sherman and the ownership. Of terrible ownership in Miami for all my life. Alright, now let's get to the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins, they hired former Texans offensive coordinator Bobby Slowik, who was a play caller for the Texans last season, the season prior. He was a top head coaching candidate the season prior. He was the Cliff Kingsbury of the last season. You know, he had the hot rookie quarterback looking like a future Hall of Famer. You know, but he fell off this season. You know, the Texans, their offense was not living up to the standard. Their offense was not living up to what it had become the season before. You know, C.J. Stroud did show his sophomore slump. The whole offense was in a slump last season. They still managed to get to the playoffs, lose to the Chiefs. But the offense, they weren't happy with it. Bobby Slowik got fired. So now, he finds himself, the Miami Dolphins have hired him as the senior passing game coordinator. And I like this hire. You know why I like this hire as the Dolphins? Because the Dolphins offense struggled, obviously. Mike McDaniel is trying to do it all he can. But here's what I'm saying. Bobby Slowik has a passing game background. He is a passer. He's a passing games coach. That's his background. Mike McDaniel, before offensive coordinator, was a running game background, a running game coordinator background. So his focus was on the running game. And then Bevel, our quarterback coach, always been a quarterback's coach. And I like this. I mean, Tua's shown improvements since Mike McDaniel been here, if I'm being honest. Now, the offensive was not good last season. It was not better than the seasons before. But Bobby Slowik can help with the pass game while Mike McDaniel tries to find some answers to the abysmal run game that just absolutely declined last season. We have a good running back in A-Chain. We need to rebuild this offensive line. That's the number one goal of the Dolphins, should be rebuilding the offensive line. Not only for Tua's health, not only for Tua's safety, but for the run game. That also plays a factor into Tua's health and safety. You don't have a good run game, you're relying on the pass. Passing game's not opening up. You need a good run game. And you saw with the Eagles, they won that Super Bowl because of their offensive line. Everybody was so worried about the offensive line trying to stop Saquon, they forgot that Jalen Hurts can somewhat throw the ball, and they have some damn weapons on the perimeters. So offensive line wins you games. The big boys, the trenches, also the defensive line wins you some games. And it'll be interesting what they do with Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips coming back, all of that. Chop Robinson showed great signs. What are they going to do with Calais Campbell? Is he going to retire? No one knows. But the Dolphins hired Bobby Slowik, who I like. He was 13th, led the Texans to 13th in points per game this season, where C.J. Stroud, C.J. Stroud's rookie season, that dropped to 22 last season. He got fired. It was always a rocky start for the Texans. There was a report that during C.J. Stroud's interviews with the Texans for the draft, or was it, I don't know, I remember, was it before the draft or was it after the draft when they drafted him? C.J. Stroud did not communicate with the offensive coordinator over at Ohio State. He always went through Ryan Day because he didn't like the offensive coordinator at Ohio State at the time. So, that's what he was telling Slowik and D'Amico. And Slowik said, I don't care. This is pro-level ball. This is the NFL. Me and you, we need to have the connection. We need to talk. We need to communicate. And I guess C.J. Stroud got in his face. They got in an altercation. That was their first meeting, an altercation. So it was always a rocky start since the beginning. And then they found success. And I bet after that, when they don't find success, when you don't find the success you're expecting the next season, someone's got to get fired. Someone's got to take the blame. And they're not going to obviously do anything with Stroud. So they were tired of Slowik. Got rid of him. I like him. I liked him. He was a top head coaching candidate at one point, but he's also a passing game dude. He's a Mike McDaniel, Shanahan disciple. Mike McDaniel, he was on the coaching staff of Mike McDaniel in the 49ers. So, it helps with the passing game. Wow. Mike McDaniel hopefully can work on the offense, of course, obviously, but also key in on the running game. And we still have Bevel, who is a quarterback coach. Simple as that. Dolphins sign somebody. Marlins sign somebody, and the Heat suck.